Most clients think that a bankruptcy is a reset button. And unfortunately, I'm sorry, it's not. And let me tell you, for one of my clients, that misunderstanding turned a fixable problem into a closing nightmare. Let me tell you the story of Fred. Fred and his wife bought this beautiful house. They lived there for a couple of years, and then they fell on some hard times. Fred's wife lost her job. Instead of doing anything to protect themselves, they just stopped paying the mortgage. This was mistake number one. So a few months later, the mortgage company starts the foreclosure process. Now, here's where Fred got some pretty good advice from a friend. Fred was recommended to go talk to a bankruptcy attorney, which was great advice. The mistake was Fred should have also talked to a real estate attorney just to get an idea of the lay of the land. Because the problem that Fred ran into was the bankruptcy wiped out his payments, but it didn't wipe out his debt. And the problem was he didn't understand that. He thought it was a reset button. Everything goes away. Well, a mortgage is secured debt. It's secured against your house. So as long as your house exists, that debt exists. So fast forward, Fred gets through bankruptcy, decides he's going to sell his house. Now Fred's like, I'm going to make $400,000. I'm just going to put it in my pocket. I'm good. I'm going to go live my life. The problem for Fred was, as we go through the process, we find out that bankruptcy did not, the word is discharge when you get rid of it. Discharge is debt. All it did was stop the payments. So we go to sell. Well, now Fred's $400,000 house has debts of $450,000. Fred and his wife don't have that money. So unfortunately, what ends up happening is Fred's closing falls apart. So let this be a lesson to you. And I'm going to tell you the lesson you should learn. So the advice I'm going to give you is, let's start with number one. Number one, you should understand real estate law and bankruptcy law are both complicated. Most attorneys don't practice in both areas, right? A lot of attorneys focus on one area of law. So had Fred consulted with a bankruptcy attorney and a real estate attorney, somebody would have explained to him that mortgages are secured debt. And it is very possible that bankruptcy attorney did, and Fred just misunderstood. But having another source to tell you the same thing would have helped Fred out. Which leads me to the next point with Fred. Fred was underwater. What that means is his debt was higher than his asset, the house. What Fred should have done was contact a real estate attorney as soon as he was getting ready to sell, just for us to look at the land records, to make sure there's no surprises. There's no debt that will come up to haunt Fred. Well, Fred didn't do that. And we all know what happened to Fred. He ended up not being able to sell his house. It ended up falling into foreclosure, and the bank ended up getting the house back, just so everyone knows. But my advice is, when you're selling your house, come up with a list of what all the costs are going to be before you try to list it. Because that way you know everything that you're going to be paying for where you're closing. I have a video, be sure to search for it, of talking about closing costs. It will explain exactly what numbers you should come up with in all those figures. Bankruptcy. So point number 3. Bankruptcy doesn't stop the payments. Bankruptcy stops the payments. It does not stop the interest. Interest will still grow every day that things get delayed, right? The longer you wait, the more you pay. The reason is because a mortgage is secured debt. It's secured against the house. So as long as the house is existing and you're living there, you don't have a problem. The problem comes up when you go to sell. And when you go to sell, you have to pay off this debt. It's that simple. But unfortunately, nobody breaks it down in simple enough terms. Point number 4. What do you do if you're in over your head and the house isn't worth enough to pay off your debts. There's a process called a short sale. And a short sale is the process where you sell your house and you short the mortgage company. Now, the process here depends on the mortgage company being able to approve it. The more mortgages you have or the more debts you have, the harder it becomes. But if it's just one debt, typically it's a time process, right? Meaning it takes about 4 to 6 months to resolve it. You're going to go through a short sale negotiator. They negotiate with the mortgage company. There's a packet, there's paperwork, there's a lot of work that goes into it, right? We're verifying that your financials, you fell into difficult financial situations, right? So if we talk about Fred, the fact that his wife lost her job helps out, right? Her financial situation changed, and most mortgage companies are understanding of that. So they will let you sell your house for less than it's worth. Less than it's owed. That being said, you will get a 1099 at the end of the year for the cancellation of debt. So you just, for planning purposes, there's some income. So finally, they had a solar lien on the property that I didn't talk about before, just because I want to point it out. The solar lien did stay in place. The one thing that didn't, though, were the judgment liens, because the court can say that those are not secured and they get thrown out. So there are things that do go away with bankruptcy. Mortgages are not. Solar liens are not. So the homeowners who come to us early in the process end up being okay. So if you want to have a discussion of where you stand, my firm will be happy to review the land records with you and discuss the potential debts. And as always, if you found this information valuable, be sure to subscribe so you can learn from my clients' mistakes and not make the same ones, so that you have a smooth real estate closing.